So today we start a new chapter, compensation benefits, or comp and ben, how we used to say. These are the leading questions we're going to answer. What is equal reward? What is equality in that sense? You know, this is one of the most important challenges whenever we determine the compensation. But more importantly, we talk about what are the components. I mean, when you will look on your payslip that you're going to get, you will see that on a payslip, Gehaltsabrechnung, there are different components. Where do these components come from? Why are they there? Yeah? And to what relate these different components? And how can companies determine how much you get related to these different components? So I guess this chapter is relevant to you in both terms. One, because you will be rewarded in the future, hopefully. So you will know what you get and why you get what you get. But of course it's also relevant because we are in the HRM course. Okay. Then I would like to add one question. Question about motivation. We compensate people in companies because we think we can motivate people. Right? I expect you to do something and you get something. So pay is seen also as a kind of motivator. And while this sounds very obvious, in reality it's more complicated. We can't really say that money always motivates. So we're going to have a look at psychology a little bit and ask ourselves, how is the relation between what people get, compensation, pay, and their motivation? Okay. You look at this slide. You see on the on this axis here the performance, the contribution people make to the company. Right? People contribute to the success of a company, and on the other side they get something. I name it reward. When we talk about reward, it's not only money, right? It's everything. And the relation between performance, contribution, and the reward must be kind of balanced. Right? If this is balanced, if I feel as an employee that what I get somehow relates to what I do, then I'm fine with it. Right? If I'm person A, I feel that, well, I don't perform much, but I get a lot. It's not equal. And could make me feel bad. Yeah. On the other side, person A is in a better position than person B. Person B performs a lot, always goes the extra mile, exceed expectation all the time. But what this person gets is not in balance with the reward this person gets. So that's a very simple idea. That we say equality means, equity means that there is a relation between performance and reward. Okay? So here we differentiate between two different types of equity, not equality, equity. Sorry. One thing is distributive equity. That simply means how relates what I get to my contribution compared to others. Well, sometimes it does not really matter what I get in absolute terms, but what I get compared to my colleagues. Yeah, I mean, people are not dumb. They see the performance of their colleagues, and they might also know, depending on the culture a person lives in, I know what they get, and if I feel that my colleague gets more, even though this person does not perform as much as I do, I don't care about the absolute amount what I get. I just simply think that this is not fair, right? So this is distributive equity. The other term, and we will focus very much on this, procedural equity means behind every compensation system there is a rationale, there are formula, there is a system behind. So what you get is determined very systematically. And the question is whether the system as such is fair. once I know how much I get and why I get as much as I get, do I feel that the way the company determined what I get is really fair? That's about procedural equity. We're going to talk about this, right? Okay, so let's start. Think about a company, let's say 100 people, 100 employees. It's a small company, small mid-sized company, 100 people. And I have a salary budget of, let's say, 5 million. Okay? 5 million. So, a very simple compensation system would be simply to divide 5 million by 100. And then, if I got it right, every person would get 50,000 euro. That would be simple. And simple is good. Yeah? The more simple things are, the better they are. We all would agree that this would not work, right? It would be simple, but it would not be fair. And now the question is why? Why is it not fair? And the answer is on this slide. Would you say that the bigger the responsibility of a person, the more he or she should get? Would you say that a manager taking care for people, a manager who has some strategic responsibility should get more than somebody without leadership responsibility? Yes, of course. Yeah, check. Right. Would you agree that people who are in a strategic position, who are in a key function, yeah, you remember maybe what a key function is. A key function is a function which is extremely important for the long-term success of a company. Let's think about the purchasers, Aldi et Aldi. Yeah? Think about the R&D department and all those companies which focus on innovation. Would you think that people in those strategically important functions should get more on average than those people who are not on a strategic position? Yes, of course. Check. Yeah. Okay, we can say, well, okay, responsibility, that's fine. Strategic relevance, okay. But isn't it about performance? Isn't it that we want people who perform better should earn more than those who perform worse, perform less? Would you agree? Yes, of course. Check. Yeah. Would you say that a person that has a university degree should earn more than a person without a university degree? Yes, of course. Should somebody with a doctoral degree earn more than somebody without a doctoral degree? Yes. Why? Why?
Higher qualification?
Yeah. But is it really about, do I pay for qualification or do I pay for performance?
Yeah, I think it's a bit difficult because
Yeah.
if someone is working for a company for a long time, he might get all the qualification he needs for his business, for a job.
Okay.
Why should that person then be paid less? It's difficult to say.
So here it's not so easy. We have people who perform much, who have much experience in the company, but do not show the qualifications maybe others have. In many companies there are people without university degree, but they know everything and they are brilliant in what they do. Nevertheless, on average, you would say, yes, of course, qualification. That means you have at least the potential to perform well. Yeah, and here we must think about not only about performance. We must think about, I want to hire people. And I need some qualification. So the bigger the qualification, the higher the qualification, the more I must pay. Yeah, that's simply market, right? So market. Next point. When I determine the compensation of the people, does it make sense to look at what other companies pay? Yes, of course. Yeah. If I want to get the best, I must pay at least what the other companies pay. So and when we look at the other companies, I mean, we talk about the market, right? Okay, so the market comes into play. I have to consider the market, not only the internal factors. Right? Okay, fine. But is it at the end not about the company success? This is not about that. We must be profitable. We must generate revenue. We want to achieve our goals, whatever they are. And would you agree that the more successful the company is, the more the people should earn? Yes, of course. Check. Cost of living. Should somebody who works, let's say as a teacher in Munich, should earn more than a teacher in Bad Schussenried? Yes, of course, because cost of living in Munich, Paris, yeah, is significantly higher than in somewhere nowhere. Okay? I mean, compensation is there that people, the employee, can spend their cost of living. Cost of living. Yeah? Then the civil status. Would you agree that somebody who is married and has children should earn more than somebody who is a single? No? Are you single? Oh, yeah. I'm not allowed to ask you this as a professor. He asked me whether I'm single. Yeah, but in some organizations, at least here at the university, this rule is applied. Yeah, professors who have children earn more than professors without children. Tenure. The more years I spend with a company, the longer I'm with a company, the more I earn. Does that make sense?
That's what Sarah's point was, I think, earlier.
Yeah.
There's underqualified people in the company
Yeah.
still making money.
Yeah. So you have people which are with the company for 10, 20 years. They know everything. They know everything about the products, the procedures, the customers, the technology, and everything. So there is the idea that the more time you spend with the company, the better you are, which is not always true, as we all know. The idea is here to say, well, the longer you stay with the company, the more you get. Okay? In public services, this is the case. Yeah, your salary gradually increase over the years. So, what is the message of this slide? This is, by the way, not a slide which you should learn by heart. Really, even myself, I could not repeat this by heart. Yeah, but you should be able to understand why these factors are there and what they mean. Right? But the most important message on this slide is simply it's complicated. Right? So if you are an HR director, and remember our case, we have 100 people, 5 million salary budget, and you have to distribute these 5 million across the 100 people. If this is all valid, if it's reasonable to consider all these factors, how must the compensation system look like? Okay, so that's the key message of this slide. That it's complicated. You must consider a lot of different factors, and the question now is, how can companies do this? Huh? Is there any idea?
When I worked at Bosch, there was like every year the team leader filled out a form about the performance of all the employees, and you would get like grades of like he worked really well, he did everything in a really good quality, and then the higher score you have, the more money you get. So it's like performance
management. Yeah, you're going to talk about performance management. maybe in the next session, the session after next session. It's a system where the manager and the employee get together once a year at least, talk about the performance of the employee, sometimes about the performance of the manager. And this determines variable pay. Yeah. But this is true. This is one answer, but it's just one answer because that relates to just one factor. That relates to performance. Yeah. How can we consider all the rest? Yeah. The answer is we have to have different components. Right? One component of what you get relates to performance. One component relates to responsibility. Another relates to qualification. Some components relate to multiple factors which are taken into consideration. So the answer is we have to have multiple components. And this leads us to an idea which we name total reward. Total reward. This is an overview on this slide where you find the different components. And we're going to talk about most of them. Right? So please remember this term total reward. That's a key term in HR. Total reward means it's the sum of all the things employees get in order to acknowledge their work, their being with a company, right? And there are non-financial rewards, appreciation, privileges, a title, something like this. This cannot be expressed in terms of euro, yeah, in financial terms. This is more psychological. Right? So we're going to talk about the left side. Are those things which can be expressed in financial terms, even though some components are not given to the people in terms of money. Okay? So let's talk about total compensation, which is one big piece of total reward. And here we have base pay. Base pay is a fixed salary which you get maybe on a monthly basis. Right? This particular relates to your responsibility and to the market. We're going to talk about this in more detail. Base pay. So in the next half hour, I'm going to tell you how companies can build a base pay system. Then we have variable pay on individual level or group level and on organization level. Okay? And also there are different components. We're going to talk about all of these. And then probably you get benefits on top of everything, like free lunch, a company car, you can use your iPhone for private things, insurances, pension, different services. It's quite a lot. We're going to talk about this as well. Okay? So, let's talk about base pay system. Base pay. This is probably the biggest piece. Yeah. Again, it's what you really get on a regular basis, something that is agreed on in your working contract. Okay? Okay, how does that work? Let's have an example. Give me an example of any kind of job. What should we take? Any job, not professor. Any example? Do you have an idea?
Dentist.
Sorry?
Dentist.
A dentist. Okay. So, we are a big hospital. Yeah, we are a big hospital. We do not talk about the one single dentist company. We talk about hospital. And we have 20, 50 dentists, right? And the question is, how much should the dentist earn? Okay. Now, the first thing we do is we try to understand dentist. What does a dentist do? What is a dentist? I mean, it might sound like a silly question. We all know what a dentist is, but sometimes it's not that clear. Do you know what a key account manager does? Do you know what a SharePoint implementation architect does? Nowadays we have jobs which you've never heard of. So the first thing is, okay, it's the question about this job, and how much somebody should earn with this specific responsibility. The question is really, what is the responsibility? What is this job all about? We spoke about this. It's about job analysis, right? It's about understanding the nature of the job. Okay, but this is of minor priority. The important thing is that we do two things, right? And we're going to talk about this. We do two things now. We do a job evaluation. We evaluate the job of the dentist. How much is the responsibility of a dentist worth? Yeah? We all have the idea that the dentist has a higher responsibility than maybe the receptionist. But do we know how much more responsibility the dentist has compared to the receptionist? In terms of numbers. Yeah. Okay. So this is done in the job evaluation, and there are some techniques I'm going to show you. In parallel, we do a pay survey. The pay survey is about one single question. It's about the question, how much do dentists earn in the market? Okay. I do a survey asking different hospitals, you have dentists? Yeah, right. Perfect. So how much do they earn? I try to get an understanding about the compensation level related to specific jobs in the labor market. Okay. So these are the two things we do. Once we have the results of these two different steps, this is going to lead us to a pay structure. We're going to talk about this. Let's start on the left side, job evaluation. When we talk about job evaluation, I want you to understand at least one famous, commonly used system. It's a system invented by a consulting firm called Hay. Yeah. Hay. It's the name of the company. And what we have are so-called compensable factors. What are compensable factors? Compensable factors are factors that allow us really to evaluate each and every job in the world. Okay? Is it a gardener? Is it a dentist? Is it a pilot? Is it a professor? Any kind, right? So, and the idea is we use these factors and then we can determine the value of the job. Okay? Now, let's have a look. One field is about knowledge, qualification, competencies. Okay? Now, this field is divided into three different factors. One is functional expertise, and we have managerial skills, human relations. Yeah? Let's make a very concrete example. I need a chalk. Now we have a dentist. Give me another example. With what kind of job should we compare the job of the dentist? Huh?
Policeman?
A policeman. Who should earn more? Who should earn more? The dentist. Yes, he has a doctoral degree.
Difficult. One is responsible for the life of others and the other one too.
Right. The one is responsible for the life of the others, and the other one is responsible for the teeth.
They have like high policemen and ones who are only sitting in the office.
The regular policeman walking around here, right? Okay, let's a good question. Let's be focused on this. Okay. We need to determine how much functional expertise must a dentist or a policeman have on a range from 0 to 8. You see the numbers here? We can, on maximum, we can assign 8 points to functional expertise. So let's look at the dentist and the policeman. Dentist? Policeman? 3.
I don't know.
Must know something about the law
It
and
depends, because like in America, you can go straight to the academy, or you can get a college degree and become an officer right away.
But the officers are not walking around.
the officers do a walk around.
Well, my uncle was a sheriff, and he got right out of college, became a sheriff, but my cousin, he went through the police academy, he's still a beat cop.
Okay. Yeah, okay. We talk about this walk around policeman, yeah? Okay. It's 3 probably. Managerial skills. Huh? Not so much on both, right? The dentist. Huh? 2. Policeman. 4? I mean, managerial skill means lead people. Yeah. Yeah, it's
I think
less.
the dentist has to have a lot more managerial skills.
Yeah,
I mean,
much
he
more.
has to tell his people what's going to happen in his office.
At least the dentist has a team.
Right.
Yeah,
And he's the head
Depending on
of
the
the
size
team.
of the practice.
sure.
If
Sure.
you're looking at major hospitals,
We talk about the hospital dentist, but even then, he has a team around. He has to lead some people, has to coordinate. Yeah. So let's say 3, 1. Okay. Human relation. Dealing with people, solving conflicts, building networks, acting in a social environment. The dentist.
I think a policeman is a lot more exposed to dealing with difficult people, challenging people.
The interaction of the policeman is always complicated.
Yeah.
While for the dentist,
You pass out. 1 in 5.
I think the dentist is in a better, easier position than the policeman.
But on the other side, the dentist is also very personal with his patients. For
Yeah.
example, if they're feared.
Yeah. You need a lot of empathy. Yeah, dealing with the people. They have fear. I mean, the people the policemen treat also have fear, but for different reasons. So let's say for both 3, okay? Problem solving. The environment, is it complicated? Is it constantly changing? Is it dynamic? Yeah, do you have to deal with uncertainty, things like this? How is it with a dentist?
I think it's pretty consistent.
Pretty consistent.
1 or 2.
With a policeman?
I'm just going to Berlin, that's what you're here.
In Berlin, right? Let's say more or less.
More.
3,
5.
5?
I'd say 5.
I mean, think about people who really have complicated scientists or some engineers. Yeah. Would we agree on 4 or so? 5? 5? Challenge. This is about not about the environment in which I work, how uncertain this is, how dynamic this is. It's about the challenge as such. Are the problems a dentist solve huge or small? And the same with the policeman. How would you say? We saw it with the dentist, very consistent. Sometimes you have an issue and you're going to solve it. So, what do we say? Huh? Two.
The problem's always the same, basically.
Same problems every day with the policeman. More. Accountability. Freedom to act. This is about, do I determine the way I work? Yeah? Do I have the freedom to decide upon how I do my work? Or is there somebody telling me how I should do my work? So the more freedom I have, the more points we should address.
I think policemen have to, I mean, they work for the government, so they have to follow a certain set of rules.
Yeah.
Whereas a dentist certainly has to follow a certain procedure,
Yeah.
but has more freedom in deciding, am I using this method to treat this patient's teeth, or
Yeah. I have the freedom to decide what to do, but
Right.
then once I've decided what to do,
what kind of filling?
take
do I
out this
want?
tooth.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
As
Yeah.
long as the patient agrees.
Maybe we have a naive, idea of what the dentist does, but yes, but dentist has kind of freedom. Yeah? Let's say 5. The policeman must follow some rules.
1,
2.
2.
Impact on end results. How relevant is the dentist for the success of the entire hospital? 4?
Is it the highest?
I mean 4. That's an executive. Yeah. Impact on end results. Am I really responsible for what we have at the end? Yeah. That's rather vague. Yeah. Let's put 2 on both. It's easy. Now, let's sum up. 7, 10, 15, 22. There's one missing, but we leave that out. 4, 13, 12, 15, 19. Okay. Dentist 24, policeman 19. That's a good example, I think, because sometimes we overestimate the dentist, or they overestimate themselves. Yeah. At the end, we see that, well, they work in a very standardized setting, much consistency, same procedures for different settings. While the policeman, sometimes we underestimate the responsibility of the policeman and the environment they work in. At least, this is what we can tell from our analysis. Okay? I mean, this analysis was there to show you how the usage of those compensable factors work. Right? Here I have a different example. This is taken. This is applied for a consulting firm. Okay. In a consulting firm, and probably some of you will work in a consulting firm. You find assistants, you find junior consultants, the graduates, yeah, senior consultants, those who spend more than, let's say, 3-5 years in that business. Project leads, they already have certain responsibility for people, but also for projects. Managers, yeah. Managers are responsible for, or then principals are responsible for revenue. They can hire people, lead bigger teams. Yeah. And here the same idea. We have different compensable factors. Here knowledge, leadership, budget, responsibility for results, cognitive challenges, mobility, strategic impact. And then you see here the different factors are weighted, 2, 3, 1.5. And then we rate the different jobs based on a scale from 0 to 10. And then we simply multiply the weight with the rating, and then we get the actual value. Okay? And then at the end, we sum up the values, and then we got the job value. And on the bottom line, you see the job value for these different jobs, 22, 31, 57, 74. Okay. This is job evaluation. So, what you take home is companies use systems to evaluate the job, and the result are numbers, figures, concrete figures that tell us how much responsibility is related to the different jobs. While before the job analysis, before the job evaluation, we just have a kind of gut feeling, maybe a naive understanding about the worth of the different jobs. Now, with the job evaluation, we have very concrete numbers. And this is not textbook. Yeah? This is also written in some textbook. This is practice. Okay? Now, what's the problem now? The problem now is that now we have the job value. But I mean, the question now is, what does that mean in terms of euro, right? Here. You probably think that, okay, the relation of the salary between the dentist and the policeman should be like 24 to 19. Would we think that way? Now, the real question is, how can we translate the job value into base pay? Yeah. So now that was job evaluation. That was job evaluation. We now know the value of the different jobs. And as I said, in parallel, we do what we call a pay survey. What is a pay survey? What you typically use is you look at so-called benchmark jobs. What is a benchmark job? That's an important term here. A benchmark job is a job which you will find in many companies. Right? A job which you will find in many companies: purchase manager, receptionist, managing director. Of course, the same job, even though there's the same job title, responsibility might differ in different companies. Nevertheless, we have the HR director in different companies, we have the head of IT in different companies, we have a purchase expert in different companies. What we simply do in pay surveys, and you can buy these reports, they are very expensive, or you can conduct such a survey with the support of a consulting firm. What you simply do with a pay survey is you try to understand what other companies pay to employees having specific jobs. Okay? So with the dentist example, we would buy a report, which is probably there, to understand how much is the base pay of a dentist in other hospitals. Okay? So what we get then is something like this. We look at the different jobs which we have in our company. Yeah? And here on the job value axis, we have the job value of the different jobs which we have in our company. Right? We have the receptionist, we have the purchase manager, we have the top executive, different jobs. And what we simply do is we compare the job value of these different jobs with the average salaries in the market. Okay? And what you get then is you will find that the average salary of the receptionist is rather low, while the average salary of those with a high job value also have a higher average salary in the market. Okay? So you will get something like this. Okay? There is a relation between job value and average salaries in the market. Now, if you want to understand the relationship between these two, we use a method which I have already mentioned when we talked about candidate selection. When we talked about objectivity, reliability, and validity, we talk about regression analysis. Regression analysis, which leads to the correlation as well. Okay? Regression analysis is a statistical method to understand the relation between different variables. Okay, and here we want to understand the relation between job value and market pay. So at the end, I don't want to talk about the regression analysis here. It's a course about human resource management, not about stats. But what you get at the end is this line, the regression line. And this line is the one that, to the best possible degree, represents this, the distribution of these different dots in this picture. Okay? So the line is not there, the line is not there, the line is not there, there's the line. Yeah? That line is the one that best represents the relation between these different dots on this picture. Okay? Let's just put it that way. Okay? The important thing is here that this market line now shows a direct relation between job value and market pay. Yeah? So that's the simple idea to say, okay, before we did this pay survey, we just had the job value, but job value does not tell us anything about the salary. Now with this, we have defined a clear relation between the job value and what is paid in the market. We have a formula now. We have a formula where we simply can calculate how much does it mean to have a job value of 17 in terms of euro. Okay? That's the outcome of this. Now, a simple decision of a company is say, okay, do we want to pay above market? Do we want to pay below market? Or do we pay market level? If we pay market level, you're going to end up like this. And this is a very important picture. This is what we call a base pay structure. You will find something like this in most companies. Right? So, again, we have here the job grades. These are based on the job values. For instance, we could say, okay, job value from 10 to 20, that's job grade 1. From 20 to 30, that's job grade 2, and so on. Okay? And now we can determine the salary band, yeah, related to the different job grades. So, if you are an employee knowing that you are in job grade 4 because of your responsibility and so on, you know that you can earn from here to here. Probably you are somewhere between here and here. If you want to earn more, you must get promoted to the next level. You must gain more responsibility. Then there is a chance to earn so much, right? That's what we call a base pay structure. Okay? Quite simple. And again, here you find the market line. Sorry, it's in German. Must change this. Now let's talk about this. I have included two people here, A and B. What is wrong with person A? What is wrong with person A? Does not earn enough, right? This person is on job grade 5, but earns less than what's determined in the pay structure. So what to do with this person? Salary increase. Okay, that's easy. How about person B? Throw him or her out. Lay off. No, it's what to do with person B? What's wrong with it? Right. Give this person more responsibility. Move him or her to level 6 maybe. Yeah. That's not always so easy. Yeah. Things like this happen. And of course, in some companies, the managers bypass the pay structure and find solutions for this. I've experienced something like this in my own career. I mean, I said that this is not only textbook, this is also practice. But as we know many times in HR, people are not dumb. They understand the structure. Once they really want that a person gets more, if you really want to retain a person, if you want to really hire a specific person, but the pay structure does not allow to pay a certain amount, you will find a solution. Okay, so that's something I want you to know. So, while this all makes sense to a certain extent, there are really some advantages and disadvantages, or let's say opportunities and strengths. I want to talk about this for some minutes. Well, the good thing about job evaluation, about pay structure, and so is that you really have a common foundation for compensation-related decisions. Everybody knows this is what I get once I have this particular job grade. Please.
I have a question.
Please.
We have this HAY system. I thought it was used to evaluate the job
Right?
due to different criteria.
Right.
But I was wondering, where's the security aspect? I mean, there are certainly some jobs that have a high risk in security and some don't. Isn't this considered anywhere?
What do you mean by security aspect?
Yeah, I mean, okay, policemen, there are different responsibility levels, but there are some policemen who have to deal with
Danger.
Yeah, with
Risk.
danger, or maybe people working in mines, whatever.
Yeah. But that applies to the problem-solving field.
This is
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
this is my question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So it's always good to tell the people, we have a common system. Everybody knows what you get on certain grades. Yeah, that makes things clear. Yeah, and every manager knows if I hire an employee for this job grade, this is what I can pay, not less, not more. Right? It makes sense to say, well, the compensation should depend on the level of responsibility. Yeah, the higher the responsibility, the more you get, and that's the best. What I've shown you is the best way really to determine this. You will have a look at the responsibility, you look what the market pays, and then you come up with a conclusion. That's the best possible way to shape equity in that sense. Yeah. As I said, you have transparency. Everybody in the company knows this is what I get. That's clear. So compensation is not something secret that does not relate to nepotism or something vague. There is a clear structure, clarity. Sometimes it also makes sense to simply talk and think, discuss about the worth of different jobs in a company. I mean, this is something that really can add value. Simply to think about the value of different jobs. To deal with the different jobs, to get a better understanding about the different jobs. But this is of minor priority here. The most important points are the three above. But there are some threats, really. I mean, that everything I've shown you in the previous minutes sounds simple, and although this exercise looks simple, but we have experienced while we did this exercise that it's not always that clear. Yeah? If you talk with the employee representatives, the managers, with HR, with the managing directors, with the people in the company, when you talk about the worth, the value of different jobs, then that can be a very hot discussion. That's political sometimes. Yeah? You have to find a common ground. You have to find a consensus. And that's not always that easy. I mean, we can talk easy about this. A dentist, policeman. But, we talk about people. They have families. Yeah? They depend on the money they get. And we in the room say, oh, 1 or 2. Yeah. I mean, it's not always that clear. And somebody has to do this exercise. So it's sometimes a lot of bureaucracy. Yeah. It's very hard to really find the right level of acceptance with all stakeholders, all those people who have an interest in this. And whenever we talk about money, things get complicated, right? And also, above all, if you want to do something like this, job evaluation, you have to have an understanding about what kind of jobs do we have. And I think about a company like Bosch. What kind of jobs do we have at Bosch? Blah. Millions. Yeah, it's a nightmare to understand the different types of jobs. Even with this university, what kind of jobs do we have? Professors and the others. No, it's not that easy. Even with the professors, hey, we have professors and we have the dean. Yeah, we have deans of studies. We have professors which are responsible more like this, or for this, or that. It's not so easy. Yeah. Okay. So this is the most important point. Is the last one: may reduce innovation, employee engagement. We talked about this point when we talked about the job analysis. This is not my job phenomenon. You know, and if I tell somebody in a company, you are paid like this because your job grade 3, because you are just an assistant. And the person might say, okay, I get what I get just because I'm an assistant. You know, I do much more. Well, yeah, it's okay, but you are an assistant? This is what you get? That can reduce motivation. I think about my school, my gymnasium. Yeah. Yeah, there was an assistant, Sekretärin. She was the boss in that school. She managed everything. While the president of the school, he was really a warm body. He was simply not there. Yeah, chaotic. Yeah, he had no idea, no structure, nothing. This assistant, she really managed this school. Yeah. If you tell too loud to this person, hey, assistant, Mrs. Assistant, your job grade 2, this is what you get. You tell this too loud. This person might say, well, you know what? If I really would do only what assistants do, if I would only do what I'm paid for, you could forget about this school. You know, in some companies it's important that people do their extra mile, that people really are engaged, much more than what is described in the job description. Yeah, if you don't have these people, you might get lost. Okay? Forget about this point here. Okay. So, I'm sometimes asked how much you earn, at least in Germany, when you are a business graduate. And here is an example of a study. It's 6 years ago, but still valid, I would say. What I want to show with this, it's not only that it's relevant to you. I want to show you this because I want to demonstrate some important points here. The first thing is we have a difference with regards to the industry. Yeah. So if you are in the hospitality industry or education, you earn less than if you work in professional service industry as a consultant, or if you work in a financial institute. Yeah? So, I mean, that's simply market. It's simply the market. And we can't tell it simply on responsibility. This is how salary levels occurred in the last decades. You know, we have, not only in Germany, but also in other countries, we have Frauenjobs. Jobs that primarily are done by women, and they earn less. Nurses, hairstylists, yeah, these are women jobs. Why are these women jobs? Because they always were women jobs because of history. I mean, that's ridiculous to say a job is especially for women and the others not. But if you look at how many women do we have in certain jobs, yeah, there is clear tendency that women prefer different jobs than men. Yeah? But this is not the point. The point is that from history, yeah, there was always this mindset saying, well, if you are a nurse, you are a woman. Yeah, of course. And if you are a woman, you are married with a man, and the man earns the real money. So the women only work so that they don't get bored. They don't must work. They just work for fun. Yeah, they must not take care for the family. Work is fun. Okay, they should get something, but they don't need to be paid so much that they can really spend their cost of living. I mean, that's ridiculous what I say, but there was always this kind of mindset in the last decades. Yeah? And that's why nurses, florists, hairstylists don't earn as much. It makes absolutely no sense when we look at the responsibility. When we would add the nurse here, yeah, we would find that the nurse has much responsibility. Yeah? But the market did not develop that way. And this is also shown here. In some industries you have primarily women, in some others you have primarily men. Yeah? And can anybody explain why these things are as they are? No, it's just because of history. It's the market. Okay? What we also find is that the salary increases over year. If you would make a pay survey after you have graduated, when you are in the first job, after finished your study, you'll find that you earn pretty much the same. Right? If we meet again 10 years after, we will find that there is a huge variety. Some of you will earn not significantly more than after being graduated. And some of you, I won't say that you are incredibly rich, but some of you will really earn a lot. Yeah, so over the years, the spread will be huge. Okay, this is what we see on this slide. Okay, now I want to highlight one point which is also important in this compensation context. Here you find the median. The median. Okay, what is the median? Median. It's not the average, right? No. You learned that it's something different. What's the median?
It's sort of the middle value. If you have a set of numbers, it's the number that's exactly in the middle or between the two numbers.
Right.
That are in
The number in the middle. Now, here, let's say the median here, hospitality industry is 30,000 euro. What does that mean? What does that mean? 30,000. Median. We learned it's the middle. Okay, but what does that mean?
It means that basically 50% of the other workers earn less and the other 50% earn more.
Right. That's it. 50% of the people in this industry earn more than 30,000 and 50% earn less. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah? We can't say this for the average. We can't say that. If the average of, let's say, an exam is 2.0, the average, we could not say that 50% are better and 50% are worse. We can't say this with the average. But if the median is 2.0, we can say 50% are better and 50% are less. Now, why is this important when we talk about compensation? And in all compensation reports, and also in these types of studies about compensation, you always will find the median. Why? What is special about the median? Simple question. We make a salary survey 1 year after you're being graduated, okay? With you, this group. Okay? now we have the median, we have the average. Right? Let's say the average is 40,000. Okay? The average is 40,000. Now we add one person to the group, let's say, or one of you is totally lucky and earns 1 million in a year. Yeah, totally rich. Yeah, you get the job of your life suddenly. For it. One of you is incredibly rich. How will this one single person who now is exceptionally rich, how will this person affect the average? Huh?
It will increase the average.
It will increase the average. Yeah, and then the average tells us, wow, you earn a lot, but it's not that you really earn a lot, it's just because of this one single person, yeah, who really raises the average. What has happened to the median? Let's say the median is 40,000. You add this one single person, which is exceptionally rich. How will this affect the median? Less. So, this is important. Whenever we look at compensation, you will find that there are some people who show extreme values, extreme salaries. And you want that these extreme values do not affect either the average or the median. So we use the median. We use the median, and I really want you to understand what is the median. It's important stat, and why we use the median in this particular context. Okay? That's base pay. Yeah, that's so exciting. Yeah. And let's talk about variable pay. So you get your base pay. This is what you get on a monthly basis. Done. On top, on the base pay, you get some additional salary, additional pay. This is what we call the variable pay. Variable pay, as we said, depends on your performance or depends on the company's success. We will talk about the first thing, about the performance. And there are some very simple ideas here. Yeah, you will easily understand this, but just want to show it. One thing is the one-time bonus. That's a very simple idea. In some companies, or many companies, managers have a kind of budget. Let's say I have a team of 10 people and I have a budget of 10,000 euro. And I can use this budget to reward people on an individual basis. I just can say, well, Bernd, you did so extremely well now. You saved our butts. You really worked overnight. You did so extremely well. Here are 2,000 euro. And this person does not wait until the end of the year or will get it somehow with a pension or so. You did extremely well. Here is your bonus. Yeah, that's a very powerful tool, by the way. Yeah, because the reward is really timely. It's timely close to the performance of the person. Yeah, it's one time, really one time. It's not that it will affect base pay. And it's very flexible. Okay, so this is one thing. Some other things are piece rate systems, Akkord. Is there anybody in the room who worked on a piece rate system, Akkordarbeit? Did anybody of you work in a piece rate system somewhere, I don't know, in summer or so? Huh? Never? Not anybody? Yeah. So you're lucky. Yeah. But you know why that is? Yeah, Akkord? You will never work in such a system. It means you do the same thing, really the exact same thing, in a very consistent way. Again and again and again. Every day. Multiple times. You have two pieces. You have to put them together. Yeah. Take it from one box, the other box, and put it in the next box. And you do this 10,000 times a day. Wow. Okay. you have the piece rate systems in very structured, consistent work